clock ticks loudly, a haunting sound. Doctor's words are like chains that bind. 1 year, they said just 12 months to see, but I'm still breathing, being me. 1 year to live, a lifetime to feel.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode, if you like, of the channel. Like I said on my video yesterday, I wasn't too sure how I was going to play everything, and I thought today, I'm going to do another video because I'm feeling quite good and upbeat today. I've already shared one video about memories which I've made over the last year or so, and got AI to do a song for it. So yeah, I'm in a good mood today and everything's really positive today, so I thought, yeah, I'm going to do another video. So what I'm going to talk about today is actually the symptoms, if you like, before I actually got diagnosed, before the actual GP, which we've got now, it was brilliant, by the way. Can't fault them. All the symptoms what I suffered way beforehand. Now, like I said yesterday in the video, it's been going on about 10 years. If not a bit longer maybe. And as I touched on yesterday, it was things like hemorrhoids. It's like you go to the toilet, it was difficult to pass, and when you did, the hemorrhoids bled. And using toilet paper, don't mean to be crude about, but when you're using toilet paper, it used to really hurt. So I ended up using things like wet wipes and stuff like that, which made it a lot easier. But that weren't just the only symptom. There were many symptoms, really, I suppose. I can't really remember them all off the top of my head. I got asked this question probably about 4 weeks ago now. What were your symptoms? By a doctor. I can't actually remember, and it's because of everything what we'd been going through. It was just the symptoms just seem a distant memory. So, yeah, I just thought I'd mention some of the symptoms which I had, which was things like eating. I literally, no sooner had I eaten, I'd actually need to rush to the toilet. And, yeah, it weren't a nice experience because obviously going out with friends and stuff like that, it's you want to go out and enjoy yourself, but I used to dread that moment when it'd be food. It's oh, shall we get something to eat? It's oh no, here we go. Because I knew what was coming thereafter. So 9 times out of 10, I'd actually try and avoid the food. So then I didn't have to suffer that way. And with that, obviously that then set off the anxieties inside me, which I suffer with as well. So obviously you're thinking, I've got to eat. I'm not eating all day. It's so, and then you're worrying. It's and before you know it, you quickly need in the toilet again. So yeah, I'd eat and yeah, just need the toilet straight away. Like I say, the anxiety. I'd even feel sick with it as well. Where I'd eat and my stomach would just feel like it was bloated. And yeah, I'd be I don't feel so good, I feel a bit sick and everything like that. And I suppose that's where the tiredness came in as well, because I'd eat and then I'd get tired as well. That was another one of the symptoms, was tiredness. I'll try to think of the other symptoms, what they were. There were muscle pain as well. I used to suffer with my legs, my back. It's if I stood in a certain position for longer than 10 minutes, it's I'd be in absolute agony with my back. It was almost my back just seized. It's even if I were just moving, just doing that, say I stood in a spot I'm still dancing away or something, it would still be agony afterwards as well. Like I say, the anxiety for it. I'm just trying to think what other symptoms there really were. Stomach ache, always tired. Used to get low moods as well because obviously you used to get a bit depressed about it all. And like I say, I used to go to the doctor, like, and, you know, like, because the acid and everything like that, it's like, and the doctors would be, oh, there you go, you can, I think it was called a Mepasol or something, I think that's the correct name for it, something like that anyway. They'd give you that, like, every time you took them, you never felt like they were working. You could take Gaviscon, nah, nothing. It was just constant, like, acid reflux as well, and stuff like that. And yeah, they were probably the main symptoms for it all. Like I say, you know, I've had the hemorrhoids for a number of years, because when I was originally diagnosed with a weakened immune system back in 2009, 2010 time, obviously I had to go through an examination, and even then I had them, and they never really bothered about them. And there was something which I thought about the other day. It's like under my armpits here, these glands, if you like, the lymph nodes would swell up. And I mentioned at the time about, you know, the lymph nodes to the consultant which I had, who were dealing with my weakened immune system. And they were like, oh no, it's nothing like that. You're just being silly. You read too much on the internet. You know, they were quite dismissive about it. But like the sexual health clinic, they have treated my hemorrhoids over the years. It's like, but they've never followed it up. Or, you know, and they've always remained there. And same with like the doctors, like they've never followed it up. You know, when I've gone with things like the acid reflux, oh, how's your hemorrhoids? Like no one's ever asked that question, and I suppose I should question. Maybe I should have pushed a bit more and mentioned about but obviously it's an embarrassing thing as well. And really, you know, we shouldn't be embarrassed about it. Because I wonder if I mentioned yesterday about the hope which I've got, and I think I've been misdiagnosed. Like the tumour which I have, it started in the rectum. And as I said, the first consultant which I had, he turned around and said that it hadn't spread to any distant areas, which would have meant the liver, the lymph nodes, you know, or anywhere else. Like, so it seemed like it was caught early enough. Like, and obviously, like I say, I've been through many scans, and I've just wondered, like, because this tumour is, at the time, when I had a colonoscopy, it was actually 25 mils, which is, I think it works out about an inch, they said. And then the hemorrhoids, they were quite swollen, and they were quite a substantial size, like, and they're what called prolapsed as well, so they had come out of the rectum area. And as I've mentioned as well, I suffered a lot with pain, and having my first lot of chemo 3 weeks ago now, I've noticed the pain subsided and everything feels a lot smoother there. So I've wondered with my scans whether they have got it wrong, because basically, like, you've got a tumour on one side which is like an inch, and then you've got these hemorrhoids, like, obviously they're not just external, they're internal as well. It's like, are they all like rubbing together basically? And like I say, the pain has subsided since having chemo. So touching wood, touching my head again. You know, I'm just wondering whether, because the scan's maybe not clear enough or something like that. Obviously, I'm due a scan in about next 2 months. I've got about the next chemo, which I'll be going to a week today. In fact, I'll be on my way back from chemo a week today, and that will be my 2-hour session. Yeah, once that one's done, then I've got to have another lot of chemo, and then after that I'll go for a CT scan, which I'm not worried about. I'm not worried about the CT scans. I don't mind them, because the good thing about them is, because of where it is and being scanned, it's like your legs area, you know, so your feet go in first. It's like, so you're kind of outside the big donut, as it's called. Like, so, and because it's not a noisy machine as well, you know, you don't have to listen to, you know, or breathe in, hold your breath, and all that lot. Oh, God, yeah. Unlike with the MRIs, they're a bit more things. So, as far as I'm aware, it's CT scan. Sorry, get my words out. CT scan, which I'll be having. And I'm hoping from that they might be able to tell a little bit more different. And another thing as well, like even with the symptoms to get through the day sometimes, and as I've touched on previously, I've suffered badly with mental health. I've suffered for many, many years with that. I even think in childhood I had mental health, but it just went undiagnosed until I got diagnosed with the weakened immune system. It's like I did turn to alcohol a lot. You know, at one stage, vodka, you know, everything like that. Even if you go back longer than 10 years, it's like I were out every night drinking, you know. So, as you can imagine, if you're drinking every night and, you know, that's going to take an effect on your things like your liver, which can obviously cause liver shadowing, scarring. Now, I only found out about the liver shadowing when I had to present one night at A&E, and it was after we had spoken with the CNSs at Oldham Royal, because the pain which I was in, it was horrific. Morphine I couldn't have because the doctor would give me that, and I had a reaction or sensitivity, as they call it, to it, and anything what they'd given me just was not touching the sides. And so I ended up being told by the Macmillan CNS, basically to present myself at A&E at Oldham. They will contact the A&E department to tell them to expect me, and the surgeons and everybody would be available. And the reason the surgeons were going to be available is because I was waiting to have a stoma fitted. So they thought by doing the operation, basically, that would relieve the symptoms, because obviously I'm passing down that area, and that area down there is where all the pain was coming from. And so obviously if I had the stoma fitted, you know, it meant that I wouldn't be passing that area, so they say. But we'll talk about that later. Yeah, so presented at A&E at Royal Oldham. There was miscommunication completely, and basically we waited in the A&E triage area, then we were taken through to the urgent care area where we were waiting and waiting and waiting. I think we got there something like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night had come. I couldn't sit on any of the chairs because they were all metal, so they were the most uncomfortable things to sit on. So yeah, I was just sat bent, if you like, on the floor, and it was getting too much. And we spoke with the nursing staff in the urgent treatment part, and they turned and said that they'll see what we can do and stuff like that. And I said, right, I need to get out, I just need some fresh air. Basically, I wanted to go out for a cigarette, to be quite honest, but I did want some fresh air just to get out of that busy environment as well, because my anxieties had gone up. So yeah, we went outside and we came back about 10 minutes later, and as soon as we came back, the nurses came and went, "Simon, quickly in here," and took us into the room where you went, and so I like things like bloods or cannula or whatever put in. And they went, "Look, we're really, really sorry, Simon, there's been a miscommunication. We wasn't aware that the surgeons were waiting for you to present to A&E. So they apologised and they said, we understood, you know, about you saying about your mental health and that. So we found you a quiet zone. We've got you somewhere comfortable to sit as well. So we've actually got you a bed." It was only a bed in a corridor, right? You know, I know some people call that, but I didn't mind that because it was somewhere comfortable to basically lie down and take the pressure off that area. So they put me in that area, and it wasn't long that we waited. I'd say 15 to 20 minutes, if that. And lovely lady came along. She was a surgeon, and she told me who she were, everything like that. And basically, she went through a lot of forms, and I explained all the symptoms and stuff like that. And then next minute, some other guy came along, and again, he was another surgeon. So he explained everything as well, and I explained everything to him. And, they said, right, what we're going to do tonight is we're actually going to admit you here, and you'll be admitted to Ward G4 here at Royal Oldham. Now, G4 is where you go after you've had your surgery for your stoma. And I've got to say, brilliant staff on G4. You can't fault them. And yeah, so I was being admitted and that, and it must have only been about midnight before I actually got admitted onto the ward itself. So obviously Taz, who has mentioned yesterday, has been the amazing support to me. Can't fault him one bit, and I don't know how he's holding it all together, to be honest. But yeah, he's been amazing. So the plan was for the next day for me to have my stoma actually fitted. But unfortunately, it was always a question mark. And the doctor came in the morning, came in with about 20 odd students. Didn't ask if they could come in, just came in, and basically said, "I'm going home." So I was like, "Oh, right." So I knew it weren't happening for that stoma to be fitted that day. It's like, and we were still there at 4 o'clock at night. And then when I went to the nurse who had come in with the doctor in the morning, she was like, "No, you ain't going home." I'm like, "But the doctor said this morning." "No, you got it wrong." Like, she was quite abrupt with me, which then questioned everything in my head. So that set the anxiety off, and I found when my anxieties were set off, that set off all the pain and everything as well. So I had a lot of discomfort. And then the surgeon who was actually going to perform the surgery that day, he came down, and basically he apologised. I cannot fault him, because throughout all this, we have never been greeted so kindly where when they come into the room or wherever it were, where they just instantly hand out to shake our hands and to say, "I'm XYZ person," introduce themselves to the other person that's supporting me, and, actually shaking your hand, that means a difference. I can hear very apologetic, and he said, "I would have had you in surgery this afternoon, but unfortunately I had 2 emergency cases," which, like I said to him, because the thing is, I did ask to be kept updated, and I was told this morning that it weren't happening, and he was quite shocked at that. And the nurse, Richard, said I got it wrong. She stood there, "That's right, yes, he did. The doctor did say this morning he'd be going home." I just like, "Hey, you just tried telling me that I weren't going home. I got it wrong." We did laugh about that in the end, me and Taz. It's all what you could do, but they did send me on with like pain relief, but it didn't really work or anything like that. So yeah, but most of this pain which I suffered came from the colonoscopy. Now, how we actually got to that stage was, obviously, as we mentioned, that we moved and everything like that, and we got registered at another practice, which cannot fault one bit. The care there has been unbelievable. I went in, I explained about the hemorrhoids, the acid reflux, and I got creams and stuff like that, but they're not working. The tablets ain't working. And the doctor, she really, really listened. And she just turned and said, "Simon, I've got to ask you a question." I went, "Yep." And she went, "Do you know anything else which it could be?" Now, I had done my own research, and bowel cancer was a lot of the symptoms. And I said, "Well, yeah, bowel cancer." And she went, "Yeah." She goes, "Everything what you're saying and how long you've been suffering," she goes, "I want to rule that out." She goes, "However, a lot of your symptoms are pointing that way. And obviously she asked if she could perform a procedure. So basically it meant me lying down on the bed in there and inserting a finger just to feel around, which I had no problem with, and she was really nice about it all. And she didn't turn around and say she thought it was cancer or bowel cancer. She was more, it's going to be a long journey. And I knew then, okay, this is serious, this is cancer, because you don't really get a GP saying that. It's like, so yeah, and she said, we're always here for you. Anytime you need us, just ring up and we're here. And I've got to admit, every time I ring for an appointment, I get an appointment within the hour. And all the doctors which I see, I may not see the same doctor all the time, but every single one of them has been outstanding, and I can't fault the practice whatsoever. I won't mention the practice, but we keep where we live quite secretive, so that's the reason why I'm not. But yeah, so she was the one which got the ball rolling. So she said that she'd arrange blood tests. I had to do what's called a fit test, which the fit test is a stool sample. And they told me to bring that back on the Monday, because this was a Friday afternoon this happened. There is quite a bit of a funny story with that as well before. We went to the doctors. We have another YouTube channel called Lads on the Trail, and we go and explore history and everything. So this particular Friday, we had a big plan to go and look at an old railway station and everything like that, but everything was quite bad for me. So Taz, he turned around and said, something, I've got to get you an appointment at the doctor's. Me, being me. You won't get an appointment at the doctor's at 1:30, alright? that literally crapped on my parade, didn't it? So, yeah. So, I'm thankful to Taz for pushing that day to get the appointment, and lucky enough the practice probably having one as well, because we all know what doctor's appointments are like these days. But yeah, that started the whole process then of getting to where we are, like I say, today. But yeah, so I did the fit test and the blood test. The blood test I had done the same day, lucky enough, which were really, really good. And I got the sample up on the Monday morning, and I think it was a Tuesday morning. And I got a private number on my phone. I thought, okay. I answered it, and it was the doctor, and she turned and said that the test had come back positive. So again, she did push a little bit more about it being cancer, and I had said to her, because well, there's a family history there as well. My mum had cancer. We lost my mum in 2019 to cancer. She had various forms of it, and stomach and stuff like that was one of them, and bowels. So, obviously there was that red flag there, and if I remember correctly, my mum's dad, he died of cancer as well. I think his was bowel. So there's a family history there, So again, I was told, we're here for you if you need us. You've got a long road ahead, with tests and everything like that. So the next stage was for me to be referred for the 2-week wait, it's called. So basically, because it's potentially cancer, it's more of an urgent testing and everything like that. I think we only waited a week, and I got a letter to go to Royal Oldham on a Sunday, which wasn't the best via public transport. Took about nearly 3 hours to get there. And I actually thought I was having the colonoscopy done that day, but it wasn't. It was just for a chat with a consultant and to have a look at the hemorrhoids and stuff like that. So we waited almost 10 minutes and called through, dropped my pants in the room, as you do, then taken through to another room, and he said, yes, I'm going to get you to have now the colonoscopy, which is basically a camera up your backside. So he booked that in, and I managed to get lucky enough to get that to the local hospital where we were. So that happened probably 2 weeks later, maybe a week later. Yeah, it might have been a week later that happened, because again, I think that was a Sunday as well. Yeah, it was, because the Saturday night, you have to do what's called a pre-op for it. And if anyone's had a colonoscopy done, you'll understand what I'm on about. But if you haven't, I don't recommend it. You have to clear out your bowel area, and you are given a laxative, which tastes. That's all I can say. Never again. Never again. Yeah, and I started that about 6 o'clock in the evening. I did not leave the bathroom till 2 a.m. I literally put my cigarettes in there, drinks, a book, my mobile phone. I've just put everything in all there, because there was no point in coming out of the bathroom. It was that bad. Obviously, the next day we get to the hospital. Anxiety is quite bad. The pain's quite bad as well, and I get taken through. You couldn't have anyone there with you to support you. You were only allowed through on your own. So my anxieties had gone quite a bit high anyway. They did all what they needed to and put the needle in and stuff like that. And then I waited probably around about an hour, and then I was taken down. And I chose not to have the sedative. Again, those of you which have had a colonoscopy will be like, oh, you idiot. Yes, I was an idiot. Like I say, you can have a sedative. If you have to have a colonoscopy done, take the bloody sedative. Don't be an idiot like me. The agony. Oh, I screamed. Not sure it's me. And they said, I was surprised they didn't hear me at the other end of the hospital. And it was kind of funny in a bit, because the person who were doing the camera, he went, I think it's hurting him. No shit. And he basically just said, can we get him on his front? And basically put me on my front. And obviously this camera has to go up, around, up, around, round. You know, it's not a nice procedure to have. Once you got through the initial bit of it, it's bearable without a sedative. But then, you know, as he was coming out, he was taking samples, well, biopsies, and from the intestine area, if you like, colon area. Basically, he removed a few from as he was coming down, and then it was only on the exit where that's where it got really intense. And I remember him telling us, saying, what number are we up to now? It's like, you know, because that's how many were being removed. And it turned out in the end, I think it was 12, and that is all what he could actually remove physically. And yeah, while the procedure was being done, I didn't know that. It's like, all I could do is close my eyes, because you try and look at the side, so you're not thinking and try and find a relaxing way, but then there's a big screen there, obviously, so the people doing the procedure can see what's happening. And then you look forward, there was another screen there. Then you look that way, there was a screen there. So it didn't matter which way you looked. So in the end, I think what I did was just put my head into the pillow. So I thought, oh, no. And that's all what I could do. And he finished the procedure. They left me on the bed and took me back to the bay. Then it was straight away the nurse there said, Simon, the doctor would like to speak with you. Would you like us to bring in your friend from outside? And I said, yeah, because then I just knew this was cancer. And they'd let me get changed, like they offered me drink and refreshments, you know, but I just didn't want anything. I just wanted to get out of there, to be quite honest. So as we went out to get my support network, you know, they said, could you go into that room down there? And it was a private room with a bed in and a chair and everything like that. And we were in there all of 5 minutes, and the person who did the procedure came in with another lady, who actually turned out to be a Macmillan CNS. And yeah, he said about what he had removed and how he couldn't remove any more from that area, and if they needed any more, they was going to have to put me under like a general anaesthetic to be able to do that procedure. He didn't say it was cancer at the time or anything like that. You were given a copy of the report, and on that report it said it was a malignant ulceractive tumour of 25 mil. I didn't know what that were until I got back home and Googled it, and yeah, that's when I realised it was cancer more. And obviously, when you're told you've got a Macmillan CNS as well, we all know what Macmillan is. But they don't just do things for cancer, obviously they're all about pain management as well within the community. But yeah, so I think that's where then the waiting really started. And yeah, I got a phone call the day after that colonoscopy asking if I understood the procedure. That was from the Macmillan team in not Haywood, not even Rochdale, Oldham. I'll get there eventually. I can't tell I've been everywhere. So yeah, and then if you like, I was just left to it. And from that day, that is where I suffered the most horrendous pain. You know, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. You know, and it got to the point where then, you know, I was speaking with a CNS and they mentioned about a stoma, and I had read about a stoma as well. And I thought, well, that would make it a lot easier. I just wish maybe it had been explained a little bit more. It probably wouldn't have changed my mind to have the procedure done, but I could have prepared a bit more for having the stoma, because that hasn't been easy. You know, it's a life change, you know, when you think you've got part of your body stuck out of you now, if you like. It's not so anything like that, you know, I will try to say that. But yeah, so the pain which I was going through was horrific, and there was nothing forthcoming with pain management or anything like that. And I would turn around and say it's only since I've started chemo where I've stopped painkillers. I don't have to take them up. I do find that I do need a bit of pain relief. I don't take the strong stuff. I just take 2 paracetamol and I find that suffice. So I know chemo's working. And yeah, so with the symptoms, like I say, you know, I suffered them for many years. And yeah, you tell doctors, you tell consultants, but nothing was ever taken forward. And I think the reason that is because bowel cancer is seen as in people over the age of 50, you know, and I don't fit that remit, you know, because I'm way under 50, you know. Well, when all this started, you know what, it was in my 30s. So yeah, it is over 10 years ago, you know. Yeah, I would have been in my 30s. It's like, so they wouldn't have thought about it, so you can't really blame them. But there again, if someone's always presenting with things like this, shouldn't we always be thinking, right, well, let's rule it out and let's do the test. You know, I know it's cost to the NHS, but at least we're ruling something out, and if it is the worst case scenario, then we're giving someone the life. Maybe if that had happened to me, I wouldn't have that prognosis which I do now. Which I still think, nah, I'm still going to batter you that 1 year. Like I said, I'm in a very good mood today. A very good mood. You know, because I've even managed to have a bath and actually lie down in a bath. I haven't been able to do that for weeks because of all the pain and everything. And it was heaven. And yeah, you know, I was up early this morning. I got up about 1:30 because that's the way things are at the moment. And then made a brew. Just messed around on the internet. Thought about, oh, should I start a video? I thought, no, I'm not doing it this time in the morning. I had the cat cuddled up with me. You know, and yeah, just relaxed, and then I got tired again about 4 o'clock. Went to sleep, woke back up, and yeah, my mood today has been brilliant, you know, and yeah, so that's good, because there hasn't been many good days, and that's the reason I think why now I'm like, I think they've got it wrong. I really do, because, like I say, the hemorrhoids and the tumour, they were rubbing at each other. So they were rubbing like against each other, just walking, anything. It's like, so, you know, maybe the scans weren't as clear as what they thought, you know, and hopefully at the 3-month scan, which I'm going to have with chemo, that will show a different aspect. And the same with in regards to the liver, like we only found that out through the surgeon who was meant to perform the stoma at Royal Oldham. And he said, oh, you're due an MRI scan. I went, no, I had one of them other week. No, you're due another because there's shadowing on your liver. First I knew, he was really shocked and apologetic again. He goes, why has nobody told you this? And this is how bad things have been, because we've always had to chase the Macmillan CNSs. It's like, you know, I was waiting to hear back on pain relief and stuff like that. And Taz, you know, he's even rang him before now. Like, and, you know, I said he's waiting for a stoma to be fitted, and then the Christies will see him. This person said, I said, what's he going to the Christies for? Well, he ain't flipping going for a tea party, am I? Yeah. She actually asked that question. What am I going to the Christies for? But anyway, we'll talk about that another time. But yeah. So we've done a lot of chasing in regards to the pain management and stuff like that. And like I say, this scan, like I didn't even realise I needed it. So obviously there's shadowing on the liver. Now, as I touched on a while back, basically I used to drink a lot. Well, we all know drinking excess alcohol, relying on alcohol. I always said I weren't an alcoholic, but thinking about it now, I would say I were an alcoholic. Although I could still go to work and stuff like that and function, you know, it's like I weren't waking up craving alcohol. I used to look forward to it in the evening. So, yeah. And again, I'm living in hope, because I've abused my body with alcohol for years. And as we know, it can cause scarring alcohol, it can cause shadowing and stuff like that. So could that not just be from the alcohol? Because when that scan would have took place, I'd only been off alcohol maybe a couple of weeks. So obviously the body's got to repair itself. Like now I just drink a lot of water because they want me hydrated all the time. Get fed up of it. You know, like, so, and I ain't touched alcohol now in over about 4 months, which I'm really proud of, and I don't miss it, by the way. I really don't miss it. Even if this turned out the way which I'd like it to, you know, and I was cancer-free, everything, you know, because the scans weren't as clear as what they thought because of the size of the tumours and the hemorrhoids, and, you know, it was the scarring from the alcohol and everything. That'd be fine for me, you know. If they tell me I said you couldn't drink again, I wouldn't drink again. But then again, even if they didn't say that, I probably wouldn't drink again. because I don't miss it. I don't need it in my life, you know. So yeah, but yeah, there's still them little questions there, like I keep turning around saying, and you'll probably find me always keep turning around saying, I've got this hope. There's just something inside me. None of it sits right with me, as I keep saying. And I've got a feeling that the scans may not have been that clear. And, you know, because of the way which things are grown in my body. Because, like I mentioned yesterday, how can you go from it's not spread to it's spread in a matter of a couple of weeks? It was a couple of weeks, about 3 weeks. You know, I know they turn around saying it's a fast growing tumour, which I've got, like in cancer. But could that not be wrong as well, in regards to because of the hemorrhoids and stuff like that? And then the scarring, that's probably alcohol. They've only asked me a couple of times about alcohol as well. And I've said I've not drank alcohol for weeks. But I used to drink X, Y, Z a night. And they were never bothered about it. So, like I said, I live in hope on this. And there's just something there which is telling me, this 1 year, this end of my life, nah. I don't believe it. You know, I know a lot of people say, I think you're just being in denial. I could be. I'll hold my hands up to that. But, hey, ain't we all got a dream and hope? So, yeah. It just doesn't sit right, like I said before. But, yeah, with the symptoms, like I say, you know, I've suffered them for years and years. So, you know, if you do have things like that, like, even if you are young as well, please, just go see your GP and say, look, I've been suffering with this for quite a while. And use me. You say, my friend, you know, or someone I know. They've been diagnosed with, they don't class it as terminal cancer, by the way, what I've got. They class it as incurable. But it's terminal because my life's going to end. There's no treatment for it. Chemo's just prolonging my life, apparently. Anyway, let's get back to the symptom thing. You know, so, yeah, go see your GP and demand. Like I say, and if you have to have the colonoscopy done, take the bloody sedative. Don't be an idiot like me. And make demands. You know, especially if you're young as well, because a lot of the time, they focus more on the older generation. You know, it's more them which are affected, I suppose. But we do hear so many stories of younger people getting cancer these days as well, you know. I remember when we went Christie's, like, and walking up the road, it's like, and from the outside you knew which was the children there, like, and there were children there, like, and you could see them with all the things and the noses and everything, like, and, oh, that got me. You know, so I'm like, stop being a soft wash, Simon, come on. But, you know, everyone deals with things differently, don't they? And I'm finding sharing this with you guys is actually helping me. And it's giving me that fight as well. But no, with any other symptoms, you know, like if you're eating, having to rush to the toilet, you know, you dread eating, you know, you've got stomach ache, your body's achy, you've got tiredness, sickness, you know, tell your GP. If you've just got hemorrhoids, tell them about it. You know, don't be embarrassed by it. They see it all the time, to be quite honest. So, you know, there's no need to be embarrassed about it. But yeah, so I thought I'd do this video in regards to about symptoms and part of like the colonoscopy and everything like that. So it's kind of sped the process up for the video so then they can become a bit more about what's going on in the immediate times and stuff like that. Like, there's still more videos to come. Like I say, we've been horrifically let down and stuff, so there will be other videos coming. But I thought I'd do this one with the symptoms because I know some people have asked privately about that. You know, and they thought it'd be a good thing. Hopefully I've done this video good for it. Like I say, it's all unfiltered, unscripted, raw, unedited, and yeah, I just think it's easier, you know, because that way people can relate more. Like, if anyone's got any questions or anything like that, you know, if you want to private message me, you know, or even if you want to private message Taz, you know, or if you're not on our social media, you know, if you want to join our Facebook page, just search Simon's Cancer Story, and, you know, you can private message on there, or even on YouTube here, you know, or even just leave a comment, you know, and I'll do my best to answer it for you as well. And I appreciate everybody who's given me all the encouragement lately. That has been a real big thing for me. And I think that's why I'm fighting. Because I weren't born a quitter. I was born a fighter, and I will carry on fighting. But yeah, so I hope I've covered some of the symptoms and a couple of other things in this, and it's clear enough for people as well. But yeah, if you've got anything like that, just make sure you do get them checked out. And like I say yesterday, if you're looking after other people and that, don't make them your priority. You've got to focus on yourself as well. I wish I did. But yeah, so I think I might leave this video there. Like I say, got any questions, anything like that, ask away. And please do share this. Share it with your friends and everyone like that, you know, because you never know who it can help. Not too sure when the next video will be. Like I said, I just take each day as it comes. It's all I can do. Got a bit of a busy week ahead anyway. Seeing lots of people this week. Seeing friends and people like that. So, you know, got a few trips planned as well. So I might even do a little video on a day trip out, which we'll do. You know, it's sure that it's not all doom and gloom. Because I don't want that. I certainly don't want that. Also, let me know what you think about the song as well. The video which I shared earlier, which was A Year's Memories. The song, the full song is on there. Believe it or not, that was actually done by AI. Tell you, they're taking us over. But yeah, let us know what you think about the song, you know. If there's anything which you'd like me to try and cover as well on the channel, let me know. You know, I'm open to everybody. You know, it's not just about me sharing everything what I'm going through. You know, it's all about other people as well, what they may be experiencing, how they feel. You know, I'm talking about people who are close to me, you know, how they feel knowing that my life could potentially this time next year not be here and stuff like that. So, yeah, just ask, share, whatever you want, you know. But yeah, I think we'll leave that there, and keep safe, keep smiling, keep positive, and look after yourself. Till next time, see you.
The clock ticks loudly, a haunting sound. Doctor's words are like chains that bind. 1 year, they said just 12 months to see, but I'm still breathing, being me.